working for you in the spirit of Arkansas. This is Channel 7 News Daybreak.
Good morning to you once again, and welcome to extended coverage of KATV News Daybreak. We are continuing to cover the winter weather that is sweeping across Arkansas this morning.
And we have team coverage out live this morning. As you can see right behind us on our map, we've got Jordan Bonke live in Little Rock this morning. We've got Matt Mershon. He is live in Conway. And Maureen Glisovic is down in Jefferson County, currently traveling around Jefferson County as the weather there has changed drastically this morning. Melinda Mayo and Barry Brandt joining us as well as Brian Imfinger, who's out driving the streets. And we've seen, guys, Mel, you've seen the level of sleet is continuing to grow.
Yes, we keep looking outside, and every time it's like there's another quarter inch or half inch of sleet as it piles up, and probably a couple of inches out there right now, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, at least, yeah. Todd Jacobian just said, and this was about 15 minutes ago in West Little Rock, and it's all moving east. He said it was heavy sleet there. I haven't heard any thunder sleet yet. But if that happens, let me just tell you, it piles up really quickly if you have what we call convection or thunder sleet. And so it's going to be a mess before it's out of here. But there is an end. So let's go ahead and take a look at our 5 live Doppler radars. And you've got to look back in eastern Oklahoma, but that's the back edge. In South Arkansas, it's still rain. And in a lot of southern Arkansas, the roadways are not iced over. But you get up into the Arkadelphia area through Pine Bluff, Fordyce, and northward, and it's slick on the roadways. And there you can see how things are piling up. In the metro area, we have that mixture of precipitation. You can see that, again, the back edge is just off to the west, but I'm going to zoom in real close here before we get to Melinda, and I want to show you what's happening right through central Arkansas. Northern Arkansas, it's snow. Through Conway and Little Rock, it's sleet, that purple. And then you get down to the south, and it's freezing rain. And some of that, Melinda, has accumulated on the power lines because we're seeing a lot of power outages over around Mount Ida. Down to Arkadelphia, those numbers are really starting to go up in the Entergy system.
Up to 9,000 now total statewide. As far as First Electric goes, doing pretty well there, less than 200, but it's in the cities that we're seeing the large outage numbers. Let's go to our temperatures because everybody is at freezing or well below it except for El Dorado, the only official reporting station where we are just above freezing. So the one area that's probably getting just rainfall, but freezing rain from DeQueen to Texarkana over to Monticello, and then sleet mainly through the metro area as well this morning. Wind chills, we've seen Maureen trying to hold on to her umbrella because the wind is blowing there in Pine Bluff. Makes it feel like 17, 14 is our wind chill here in Little Rock. Not quite so windy across the western half of the state there, though. Here's a look at our Futurecast forecast model showing that it does get better. And if you absolutely have to get out today, wait a while. Wait till this afternoon because there's the back edge of it moving through central Arkansas about 10:30 this morning. Now, there'll still be some spotty areas of precipitation. 12:30, it's mainly east and southeastern Arkansas. And then by 3 o'clock this afternoon, all that's left over is rainfall across the southeast. Coming up, we're going to talk about your forecast, including yet another round. I don't want to get you too excited, though. It looks like much less of a round, but possibly some more snow tomorrow, especially tomorrow night.
Just that much.
Just a
little
smidge,
bit,
we say. All right, let's get back over to Chris and Allison.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Now we head out to Channel 7's Jordan Bonke, who is live just off Interstate 30 in Little Rock this morning.
That's right. Jordan has been there all morning long, came in bright and early this morning, and it looks very different now than what it looked like when you were out earlier this morning.
Very different. We're seeing a lot of this freezing rain starting to accumulate on our car. Once it hits the car, it's actually melting and turning into which is actually a good thing. If you have to drive, we encourage you, of course, not to drive. As I take a look behind, in front of me right here, I'm looking at I-30, people going north and south there, people driving just under 40 miles an hour. Be extra cautious if you are driving on those bridges. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, man, look at all of that snow behind me here. Well, if you are looking out to want to go and build a snowman, it's not sticking. It's not really just coming together. I'm going to be working on that snowman here in a little bit. But follow me over here quickly. Here's our car this morning. Now, you definitely don't want to be using these scrapers here on the paint job. I did not scratch the car. I will not be charged for it. But one thing to mention, this is the size of the icicle, actually half the size of the icicle that we found on the car a little bit earlier today. And this is the thickness, the density of the ice that we saw on the windshield. This was a pain to get off the windshield if you need to be driving. Something to keep in mind if you are going to be driving out this morning, 3 car lengths in front of you. Give 3 car lengths in front of you. If you are going to be braking, brake gently. And of course, like we said earlier, you want to be extra cautious on those roads and those bridges. That's all for now here in a very white Pulaski County. We'll send it back to you guys.
Jordan Bakke reporting live for us in Little Rock. Thanks so much. We'll check back in with Jordan in just a bit, but he makes a good point. You got to take some extra time to clear off the car to do the de-icing if you don't have a car parked in a garage, because it is thick out there and continues to pile up.
If you have the technology, the automatic car starters will come in handy this morning if you have to get out, that is.
Okay, time now to head north to Faulkner County, where Channel 7's Matt Mershon is in Conway off of Interstate 40 on Skyline Drive. Good morning to you once again, Matt.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it is still coming down here. As you mentioned, it's been intermittent. It's sort of, you think you're out of the woods, but then it comes right back with a vengeance out here in Conway. And you can see the roads behind me a lot clearer than we were being able to see them around 4:30. Skyline Drive is pretty slushy, pretty icy, pretty any sort of winter-related adjective you can think of. We're seeing it out here. You can see a Conway police officer sort of waiting over by the Exxon station here on Skyline Drive by I-40, and you talked to them earlier. There's another one actually over there as well, and both of them got on around 6 o'clock this morning, and they said that they have not seen or had to deal with any accidents here in Conway yet. And of course, I say yet because this is expected to get a little worse before we see the end of it, and we're definitely seeing just sort of a bit of a lull. It's still doing some sleet here in Conway at this hour, but has certainly let up. We're not feeling like we're getting pelted this morning. Stay inside if you can. We'd like to get back inside because it is cold and it's nasty out here. We'll send it back to you.
Try to stay warm. Yes, get back into the warm car, Matt. Thanks so much for all your reporting. It's been already a long morning, and we're sticking with you until 10 o'clock this morning at the very least to keep you updated on things outdoors. Want to remind you that lots of schools are already closed because of the holiday, Washington's birthday and Daisy Gatson Bates Day here in Arkansas. Maybe you didn't know that, but a lot of schools closed. If they are not already because of the holiday, we have those scrolling at the bottom of your screen that are closed. You can also find those on KATV.com, on our Twitter feed, and on our KATV Facebook page. All great resources. Also, Southwest Airlines canceling all flights all day today out of Clinton National Airport. CAT buses delayed until 7:30, and state offices in Arkansas are closed today.
Okay. We also have our team coverage extending down to Jefferson County this morning. Channel 7's Maureen Glisovic is live this morning driving around. Maureen, I know you're not exactly driving, but you are filming right now. You're riding around.
I am filming. We got our great photographer here, Larry Potter, driving. We're headed northbound on 530, or getting onto 530. You can see the road conditions here. Let me do a slow zoom in for you guys a little bit there. You can see it's getting pretty bad out here. We started out the morning where it was just kind of warm. The ground was still warm, actually, I should say, so that it was melting. But as you can see now, headed onto the ramp here, it's pretty slick. Gonna have to drive very slowly if you're headed out the door. But honestly, if you can help it, I would just stay home. It's cold out there. It's slick, so it's now turned from just, you know, the water, the precipitation that we had earlier at about 4:30 this morning. It's gotten worse, and it continues to come down. And actually, you know, the pellets and the freezing rain, it is starting to hurt when you're standing out there. So I'm not going to complain of being in the car now, which is kind of good for me. But definitely don't go anywhere if you don't have to drive. You can see these road conditions here are just not good. There was some energy crews over at Pines Mall, and they were just on standby. Last I checked, within the last 20 minutes, Entergy was reporting that Jefferson County has about 54 customers that are affected by some of these power outages. But again, there was about a good, you know, 2-3 dozen trucks parked at Pines Mall, and it looked like they were just on standby. So it doesn't appear to have a great effect on power here, this storm over in Jefferson County, but we're going to continue to check on road conditions. You can see it's slick, not much of a clear way. You could tell there has been some driving that's been done here, but it just appears that one lane is being used here on 530. So We're going to continue to give you live updates and coverage, but for now, I'll go ahead and send it back to you guys.
Such a great view there from Maureen Glisovic and Larry Potter. You guys stay safe. We're out driving, so you don't have to, but you can get a great look at what it's like out there. And they're, of course, going very slow. She's doing the riding. He's doing the driving, so all is safe there. Want to mention the Arkansas Highway Transportation Department had some warning here. This is happening exactly how our meteorologist predicted it. And so there was anticipation of icy roadways, and so a lot of those roadways were treated. Those trucks are out in full force, continuing to do that, especially on those major thoroughfares.
All right, but still not a reason to get out today. Don't do it. Hey, do want to let everybody know about an update as far as power outages are concerned. That's something that can be dangerous this time of year, especially under storms that have this much sleet or freezing rain, depending on where you live. In the past 3 hours alone, take a look at this, or take a listen. 5,500 earlier this morning. We began our show at 4:30. Right now, 10,400 already. So it's an increase of more than 5,000 already this morning, and that's only in the past 3 hours. With it still continuing to fall, Allison, the numbers aren't looking good. So we have talked to Julie Munsell from Entergy Arkansas, and she's told us if you get an outage, or you have an outage, if you have the ability, your cell phone, call 1-800-968-8243, or you can go to their website if you have the ability to.
It's 1-800-9-OUTAGE. Write that number down now, especially while you have electricity, and so you know who to call exactly when that comes out. She says they do get some alerts, but they still need the customers to call in and let them know that they are now without power. As Chris mentioned, those numbers are continuing to rise, so make sure that you have your phones and tablets, laptop all charged up so you have access to the weather out there, and you can find that on KATV.com. Our KATV Twitter feed, and also on our KATV Facebook page. We are keeping you updated throughout the morning with those resources. Also, we're live streaming on KATV.com.
And continue to send in your pictures, too. We've enjoyed sharing those throughout the morning. Our meteorologists, Melinda Mayo and Barry Brandt, all you have to do is tweet them at KATV Barry, at KATV Melinda. I'll be sure to show them on screen for you.
Okay, coming up, much of Arkansas is still under a winter storm warning. We go back to the Weather Center, where our meteorologists are tracking it all this morning.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a while to go before this shuts off. Western Arkansas, you'll be done in a couple of hours, but we're going to talk about the time frame coming up, and it's coming down pretty hard.
It is, and I think several more hours of sleet, like you said, and that's really the major weather type that we have coming down right now, though there is some snow north and a little bit of rainfall south.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the ways you can keep in touch with us. We're putting out information all the time, and also if you tag a tweet with a photo at KATV Barry, at KATV_weather. That's Todd. He's at home working this morning. And at KATV Melinda, we'll get those and we'll turn those around. We're going to be showing you photos as we head through the morning hours. As the sun comes up, we're getting a little more light, and you can see a whole lot more of what's happening. But there's what's happening now. South Arkansas, rain. North Arkansas, snow. It's in the middle that we see those areas around the Little Rock and Conway area up to Searcy. Even on up to Batesville, we've had snow, or rather sleet piling up. Down to the south, it's more freezing rain, Arkadelphia over to Pine Bluff. And then the back edge of this is over here into the western part, or eastern part of Oklahoma. It'll approach western Arkansas soon, so there is an end in sight. But it's going to take several hours, Melinda, before we see that official end, I think.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much, Barry. I'm getting questions, too, from people who have worked overnight jobs, trying to decide right now whether to go home and if they'll be able to make it back into their job, say, tonight or early tomorrow. Nurses, for instance. This does end this afternoon, but whatever is left on the roadways will likely refreeze overnight into tomorrow morning. Kind of depends on if the road crews are able to get the streets clear in time before that refreezing takes place. So keep that in mind. I think main thoroughfares will be okay in the morning. They should be cleared, but secondary roads, we could have problems again. Going through your hour-by-hour forecast for today, we stay below freezing all the way through noontime and even beyond. I think we can just barely get above freezing perhaps in the afternoon. And even showing maybe a little brief period of sunshine between the cloud cover this afternoon. Then we go back down below freezing. And again, anything that's left on the roadways tonight could be slick in the morning as well. So keep that in mind. 20s for our temperatures, 25 degrees at Lone Oak and at Cabot, 26 at Jacksonville, North Little Rock's at 24 degrees, 24 around Perrin, 27 degrees for you folks there in Benton, and 20s and low 30s as well, all the way down towards southeastern Arkansas around Stuttgart. Today's forecast just barely gets to freezing, maybe just a little bit above south of Little Rock. Freezing rain and sleet will continue for several more hours in central Arkansas. May even end here as a little bit of wraparound snow, but certainly that will not last very long. It'll be at the tail end of all this. Mainly snow in northern Arkansas this morning, mainly rainfall south, but by about noontime we'll see this definitely decreasing across western Arkansas and then slowly decreasing across central and east in the early afternoon hours. Tonight, 23 for an overnight low. It'll be cold, it'll be breezy, and again, anything that is left on the roadways, especially maybe some of those secondary roads, rural areas where the road crews don't get to, could be a problem again in the morning. And then we've got like a brief round, a little disturbance tomorrow. We do not think it'll last very long or be a big deal, but tomorrow night there could be just a very quick hit of a mixed batch of winter weather. Sunshine then for Wednesday and Thursday, then highs around 40 on Friday. That could begin as a little light winter weather as well before changing over to all rain. Looks like this weekend we'll know 70s like we just saw on Saturday, 50s and 40s for highs this weekend. All right, we'll be back with more of your weather in just a moment. Now back over to Chris and Allison.
Melinda, thank you. We want to keep you updated on some things that are happening right now. Of course, there are more closures, more school closures, some already out because of the holiday. Others are closing because of the winter weather. We have those scrolling at the bottom of your screen, also on KATV.com. Also want to let you know that the legislative session is canceled today, closed. Oaklawn has canceled racing today. CAT buses are delayed until 7:30, and Clinton National Airport reporting lots of cancellations. You'll need to call your air carrier before you try to catch any flights out of there today at all.
Yeah, some still scheduled for the morning hours, but that could change pretty quickly. So make sure you contact your local carrier or go to clintonnational.com. Hey, coming up next, we check back in with Channel 7's photographer, Brian Imfinger, who is out driving the roadways, has been for quite a while. I wonder if he's stopped for gas yet because he's been driving since about 4:30 this morning. We'll see what Brian's got to say about the road conditions this morning as you wake up with us here on Channel 7 News Daybreak Extended. Now you're getting a live look outside right now. We continue that live look, but this time we're going to be moving down the roadways with Channel 7's photographer, Brian Imfinger.
Yes, he's using live view technology to give us a look at exactly what it's like if you get behind the wheel this morning. And some of you we know absolutely have to because of critical jobs out there. So he's giving us a great look at what it's like. And Brian, I know it's changed quite a bit since you've been out since about 4 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I think that now that the roads are starting to melt a little bit with all the traffic and all the sand and salt down, they're actually a little worse than they have been all day. It was actually a little easier to drive on them when it was just the solid, unmelted sleet. And now that it's getting a little slushy, it's a little slicker. As long as people kind of take it easy. I've only seen a couple of wrecks, and they were very minor, just a jackknifed 18-wheeler and a car that just kind of ran into the shoulder.
We saw that car just go past you pretty fast, but
yeah.
How fast are you going, Brian?
I am going about 37, 35 miles an hour. There are vehicles that are going too fast. In fact, I've seen several that are going about as fast as the one you saw me that just passed me, and you can actually see them kind of swerving a little bit, but they're able to regain control. I wouldn't go faster than 40. If you go faster than 40, you're really just taking a risk.
Hey, Brian, describe where you are right now. We know you've been traveling all around the metro this morning. Where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm actually on Interstate 40 at North Little Rock. I'm actually just about to pass or come up on the JFK Boulevard exit. And, you know, there's a tremendous, the road crews here in Central Arkansas have put down, I don't know if you can kind of see it, the snow or the sleet is not white, it's kind of brown. That's from all the sand and salt that they put on it, but it's just, there's so much on the road, it's just having a tough time melting.
Brian, as you've been traveling around all morning, have you noticed one area that's worse than another, or has it all been about the same?
No, actually, it seems to be a little worse in Little Rock and maybe just a little bit south of Little Rock. There was a particularly heavy sleet band that kind of went through there. It was definitely less up toward Mayflower. I mean, we're not talking significantly less, but in Little Rock, some of the ruts were actually almost to the bottom of cars I saw. So it's a little bit thicker, Little Rock and just south.
Brian, we can see some of those cars driving a little bit faster right now. Also, probably important to remind everybody, like you said, as the snow continues to melt, or as the sleet continues to melt a little bit, the conditions can actually worsen because once it refreezes, you see that sheet of ice form on bottom that you can't get any traction from.
Yeah, I'm afraid that tonight it actually could actually be worse than right now, because the sleet actually does give you a little bit of traction, and as that melts and turns into more of the black ice, the solid ice, that'll be much slicker. The sleet has actually given people some traction. In fact, as we continue to have a little bit of melt, it'll actually be less traction than maybe there even is right now. Right now, I actually can only go about 20-25 miles an hour because it's so much slush on the road, and with the ruts, it's very easy to lose control if you get out of one rut into the other rut.
All right, Brian Emfinger out live on the roadways for you. Thanks so much. Stay safe out there, and we'll check back in just a bit.
Okay, coming up after this break, we're going to take a look at your forecast, your extended forecast beyond just the next couple of hours. What about the rest of the day? When will this sleet and freezing rain finally end? Barry and Melinda are here to break it all down for you right after the break.
Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing to monitor things here from the Weather Center. Extended coverage now into Good Morning America, because we know that this is affecting everybody in the state today in some way or another, right?
Yeah, as Brian said, it's piling up. And I've got some pictures that I'm getting, and I'll be passing those back along to you, of ice. Now, ice accumulation on vegetation, generally west, kind of south of the Little Rock area, and that's why power is going out there. I do want to start out with some look at our 5 Live Doppler radars, though, if we can, and we'll show you exactly what we're talking about, the back edge of this precipitation, which is well back to the west of us. And it will come through eventually. We're going to see an end to this precipitation, but it's rain in South Arkansas. It's freezing rain south of here, and then sleet through a broad area of central Arkansas. Snow north. It looks like northwest Arkansas it's already ended up there. So that's some good news. But we still have several hours of this. I would say for another 2 to 3 hours in the Little Rock area, and then just scattered stuff that's still going on back into eastern Oklahoma. But through the morning hours, I think we'll see this, and hour by hour, it'll go through 8 through 1 p.m. And then I think we'll start to see a real end to this very quickly. Temperature-wise, though, it's only South Arkansas that we see that is above freezing, and we're considerably below freezing here at 27.
And I think Brian Emfinger made a good point a while ago that this is mainly sleet. It's giving you a little bit of traction. We don't want a lot of people out on the roadways, but it is passable. However, tonight that begins to kind of melt a little bit.
It will melt because the roads are warm, right?
Yeah, and then refreeze tonight with those really sub-freezing temperatures, so we could have problems again. Hopefully the road crews and scrapers are able to clear out the major thoroughfares, but I don't think they'll get to all of this today.
No, I seriously doubt it.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break right now. We will be back with more of our team coverage of the winter storm in just a few moments.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. You're getting a live look right now in Jefferson County. That is Channel 7 photographer Larry Potter and Channel 7 reporter Maureen Glisovic traveling in a vehicle slowly and safely, as you can see, behind a work truck, a service truck there working the roadways. And that is something we're going to be monitoring throughout the morning, how the road conditions continually to evolve.
And those road crews have been out all night and into the morning hours. We want to join Randy Ort with the Arkansas Highway Transportation Department now on the phone with us. Randy, I know you guys did a lot of prep work in anticipation of this particular storm, and it has paid off.
Yeah, it really has. Our crews were able to get out quite a bit this weekend, do some pre-treating. I know some motorists and others are going to wonder if it's really doing any good, but it is. That effort, that pre-treating, keeps some of that ice from actually adhering strongly to the roadways. Then if we can get through with our plows, we can get it off. You know, our problem is going to be not just today, but throughout the rest of the week from a precipitation standpoint. this is a very short-lived event, less than 24 hours. But it's the worst-case scenario, and it is ice and freezing rain, and the temperatures are going to drop quite a bit, and that's going to really hamper our efforts.
Randy, looking around right now, you can see throughout the metro, I know that you guys have been working diligently to clear some of the major roadways, but of course, a lot of people, school buses in particular, always take the back roads, the secondary roads to get to their destinations. Whenever you look extensively ahead, maybe 24 hours from now into tomorrow morning, do you think some of those roadways could be cleared off by then and some of those trucks could help pave the way, or is it looking like this might be a several-day process for you guys?
Well, I think it's going to be several days. I think once the precipitation stops today, that will obviously help some. Unfortunately, we're not going to see much in the way of sunshine, and the temperatures just aren't going to help. So this is going to be a multi-day event, even though the precipitation will be very short-lived. I ask people's patience. Fortunately, today is a holiday for a lot of people. A lot of schools, a lot of offices closed. I think that has helped somewhat. Still quite a bit of traffic out there, and I would ask that if you are out, if you do have to get out and you encounter one of our snowplows, please give them the right-of-way. I was on I-630 early this morning, and one of our trucks couldn't get to the location they needed to be. They were literally stopped on I-630 because of the traffic wouldn't allow them to get over. So please be cognizant of the work our guys are trying to do out there.
Randy, talk a little bit about how you guys operate in these conditions, because as this continues to come down, do you just keep crews out there around the clock, or what do you guys do?
No, absolutely. We divide our crews in half, and they work 12 hours on, 12 hours off. This is a 24-hour a day, around-the-clock effort for us. It's going to remain that way for quite some time. And as you all pointed out, even though most of us are coming off of a weekend where we didn't have to work, our crews did quite a bit of work this weekend, preparing for what we felt like was going to be a statewide event. So far, it's been about the northern two-thirds of the state. You can pretty well draw a line from Mena to Pine Bluff and up to Memphis. Everything north of there is pretty well socked in. We have had to move some equipment, materials, and manpower up to northeast Arkansas. We feel like that's where they're really going to get the brunt of it, Interstates 40 and 55. So we have sent some extra crews up to that area.
And Randy, kind of explain, what exactly are you guys laying down on the roadways? What is the process of maybe pre-treating the roads, and then whenever the precipitation does fall, what do you guys put down to try and clear up the ice and sleet?
Yeah, we've gone to most of our areas around the state are using a salt brine mixture. We can either purchase it, or actually many of our districts have equipment where we can actually make salt brine, which is a thick salt water. We're able to put it down, let it dry. If the precipitation in the winter event comes in and it's not a heavy rain event to begin with, then that can be very effective. And so that's why we feel like this is going to really help this time. Now, that helps here in the initial stages. We're going back over this as we plow, going behind that with rock salt to try to help with that melting effort. The problem we're going to see is that salt and salt brine, they lose their effectiveness when it gets down into the lower 20s. So with temperatures the next several nights expected to get down into the teens, even lower than that, that's why it's going to be tough. We need to make some good headway today.
Interesting, and we know none of that mixture is very good on cars, so if you do drive behind one of those trucks or you drive the roadways, you'll want to get it washed shortly afterwards.
Yeah, that's a good point. Of course, fortunately, here in Arkansas, we don't use near the quantities that they do in other parts of the country. And, of course, we don't live near the seashore, which is always a problem there.
All right, Randy Ort with the Arkansas Highway Transportation Department, thanks so much for your time, and thanks to all your crews who are out there working to get things as clear as possible. We appreciate you.
I appreciate your kind words.
All right, coming up next, we're going to check back in with Jordan, Matt, and Maureen, plus a check of your weather forecast. And Shane Carter from the Clinton National Airport will update us on their departures and arrivals schedule today. Welcome back, everybody. This has been a long morning for many of you. Maybe you've just woken up right now and wondering what's happening outside. We've been here since around 2:30 this morning, making sure that you stay updated with the winter weather that has rapidly changed throughout the state in the past several hours.
That's right. We've seen the road conditions continue to deteriorate. We've got live coverage and team coverage of folks all over the state, including Brian Imfinger, who is driving around this morning, Maureen Glisovic now in the car as well with our photographer Larry Potter, giving you an idea of what the roads look like exactly and what it's like to be out there, because we know some people will have to get out today. The message, though, however, from everyone is stay inside if you can. You don't want to get out in this mess because it has turned into a mess. Of course, we have our meteorologists covering things and watching things all throughout the morning. Melinda and Barry over in the Weather Center this morning. A lot of people looking ahead to tomorrow already.
You're right. A long morning. It's going to be a long day as well, as we are not out of this by any means. And then, yes, the refreezing of anything that is left on the roadways today.
That worries me because there's so much that's piled up.
Right.
Now, the major roadways, the highway crews will do a pretty good job. I think secondary streets tomorrow morning, I don't think they're going to be very good.
That's going to affect, I think, school closings again tomorrow for a lot of us, I think.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Is there any good news on the radar, Melinda?
I think there is. There's a couple of things that we just noticed on radar that are a little different. Let's go to our 5 live Dopplers. The back edge, or really the main back edge of this, has moved through northwestern Arkansas, and you can see that there. Areas like Yell County up to Pope County, we're seeing the precipitation slack off quite a bit. But if you look back into eastern Oklahoma, something else I've noticed is another little round of mainly snow moving into Fort Smith. So as far south as the metro, I think we could see this wrap up with a little bit of light snow, which maybe the kids would enjoy that more than the sleet this morning. But as we take a look right into the metro, it is still mainly freezing rain and sleet. You can see it right there. Sleet through the Little Rock area all the way down to about Stuttgart and Pine Bluff, and then south of there, mainly freezing rain that is making the streets very icy. So you need to definitely be careful. Let's go to Barry. He has some of our latest pictures.
That is pretty good news, though, because if that lasted another 8 or 10 hours, I think we'd be in real trouble. Not that we don't have trouble out there. Hey, we've got some beautiful pictures. This was just before the sun came up this morning, and this is in Maumelle, and we did have a little freezing rain here. I'm going to blow that picture up. The weather ninja Michael Hook took that picture, and you can see a gorgeous shot there of ice on the trees. Here's some other pictures. I've just been saving them. This is a sleet drift. This is down just to the southwest of Little Rock. So there was some wind out there. And Maureen Glisovic, this is a still shot of her earlier. There was wind. Look, her umbrella was destroyed. Maureen, sorry I had to show that, though. Up at Batesville, this was a mixture of sleet and snow, and it looks like several inches has piled up there. Thanks for sending these pictures in. This is Maumelle, and some of the hills there are sleet covered this morning, and I think there's going to be some impassable streets, especially the steep streets, and there are a lot of those, but the flat streets down here in Little Rock, like this picture, not bad. You can get around anyway, but places like University Avenue, that is a steep hill, and that's one of those notoriously slick spots when we have this kind of weather. This is Lee Avenue. You can see the tracks there. Just piling up with sleet. Here's a little ice accumulation on the pine trees and a little more ice accumulation. At first I thought that was a big branch on top of a car, but no, it's a little twig in the foreground there with ice accumulation. That too just to the south of the Little Rock area. This is Russellville, and we're seeing that temperatures in the mid-20s there, and they say hazardous conditions around the Russellville area. Keep sending those pictures. You can alert us to the fact that you're uploading those at KETV Barry, my Twitter handle, at KETV Melinda, or at KETV_weather. That's Todd Jacobian, and we'll pass those, as we get those, we'll pass those along. Allison and Chris.
Very much. Now we head out to Channel 7's Jordan Bonnke. He's on Interstate 30 in Little Rock. Jordan, have you set up a tent there yet? You've been there all morning long.
You need some hot chocolate or coffee or something out there.
We do have some good news to report. Our boss, Nick Genty, just dropped off a sausage McMuffin, so I got to get through this really quickly because I'm going to get to that here in the car. But one thing I do want to relay to you guys is that I just got back from looking what the conditions look like. Now, if you have to drive, again, we've been repeating this all morning long, but if you don't have to, don't get behind that wheel, do not drive. But one thing I do want to say that I saw, visual confirmation, if you will, earlier, is that some of the road conditions on the river bridge here have turned into slush. It's actually kind of a nasty brown slush of just people passing through. Another thing to make mention is that you really can't see what lane that you are in if you get behind the wheel. So that's something that you have to really pay attention to. I mean, you have to be familiar with where you're going. So don't go somewhere that you're not too familiar with. But let me walk a little bit closer here to show you some of the effects. If you could see, maybe on the mic cable here, but now that the precipitation has stopped, once it actually hits, it's starting to freeze on our mic flag here, and you may be able to see it on my jacket here, but this is the rain. That was rain just starting to freeze on the jacket. Our camera lens is starting to accumulate a lot of ice. We're seeing that, of course, on the cars. The tripod, it's stuck in that position. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, some other updates just to bring you just from Pulaski County alone. You're going to hear from Shane Carter just a little bit. He's talking maybe a little over 20 flight cancellations today. Also, Entergy reporting just under 50 power outages in Pulaski County, and that's over near the off Cantrell, in the Riverdale area. But for now, if you don't have to, I envy those that are inside with hot chocolate right now. But that's all for now here in Pulaski County. We'll send it back to you guys where I hope it's a little bit warmer. I got to get to this sausage McMuffin.
Yes, you go enjoy your sausage McMuffin. We've got some Lindt chocolate for breakfast this morning. The Chris
Lindor, not Lindt.
Lindor.
They don't come from the bottom of your pocket.
Hold on.
The Lindors. These are a delicacy. Jordan, thank you.
L-I-N-D-T.
Lindor. Oh, Lindor. It says Lindor on bottom. We don't even know what we have in studio. All we know is we're glad to be in a warm studio this morning. We appreciate all the hard work from our reporters like Jordan and like Matt Mershon as well. He is live just a little bit farther north here in Conway off Interstate 40. And Matt, you finally got the umbrella. Is it coming down a little bit more right now?
Well, hey, listen, we have different priorities here. I'm only using this as a prop. We've actually been using the umbrella to cover our camera. We want to make sure it's safe here. Not me, though. That doesn't matter. And also, just had to say, where's my sausage egg McMuffin? I don't understand it. But hold on. Let me show you this umbrella. It is completely covered in ice. Let me just collapse this for you. And you see that? It is absolutely, there's still some on it, and because it's not blowing away here, not like Marine's umbrella, that's for sure. Got a lot of sleet on the roadways here in Conway. Skyline Drive is right behind me, and talking about that slush, we've been seeing a lot of slush even in the parking lot that we're in, and it's interesting. There are certain parts of that slush that have started to freeze over. You can sort of do a little skating, a little shimmy over the ice. There are other parts that are completely slush, but it's 22 degrees here in Conway, and chances are that that slush is going to turn into ice. Of course, not so much on our pre-treated roadways and the roadways that we've been seeing treated with salt. Highway Department has been coming across I-40 here in Conway along with Skyline Drive as well. That's a state highway they've been trying to take care of here. But the City of Colleges today, apparently not the City of Colleges, because they're all out. UCA, CBC, and Hendrix all canceling classes today. Some happy 18 to 20 somethings here in Conway, starting off a great Monday with this very nasty sleet out here. For those that are on the road this morning, they're taking it slow. That's a good thing. We talked to some police officers here in Conway earlier, and they really said they haven't had to deal with responding to many accidents out here. Guess Conway drivers are pretty good. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of those drivers staying home today because of the holiday or just not getting out in this mess, which is good advice from Matt there. You can see Skyline Drive is typically very busy this time of the day, and there were only 3 or 4 cars out there, so that gives you an idea. Of course, lots less traffic than there typically is.
Yeah, still not a lot of traffic out there, but some of the big 18-wheelers have had issues on the road. So if you see one of those 18-wheelers, we've been saying stay at least 3 car lengths behind a car. I would steer clear of 18-wheelers if you can, because we've seen a couple of them already jackknifed this morning on the side of the road. One, and specifically right off I-40 just south of Matt at the Mayflower exit down there. So be aware of that if you're traveling through that area. And one more note real quick. It seems like there are more Entergy outages already just in the past half hour alone. Another 1,000 added. The total right now over 11,000. When we started daybreak this morning, it was just over 5,500 and increased by almost 1,000 on average every half hour. hour, so that's only going to continue as long as that sleet and freezing rain continues to accumulate around the state.
Piling up on those power lines that will certainly cause those outages. If you do have an outage, you'll want to call with Entergy 1-800-9-OUTAGE. That's 1-800-9-OUTAGE to let them know. We do want to head now to Jefferson County. That's where Channel 7's Maureen Glisovic is watching the road conditions down there. She's in the car, so hopefully a little warmer now. We see you're behind one of those road crews.
Yep, we're still here. We're on Highway 530, just south of I-530, so we're able to at least keep warm in the car. No sausage McMuffins for us here in Jefferson County, but at least we're here giving you the road conditions. We're looking at some slick roads, some ice. We've followed this Arkansas Highway Department truck here for the last half hour, if not more, and so they're just kind of on standby on the side of the road here on Highway 530. Conditions are getting worse here, at least in the Pine Bluff area and most of Jefferson County. I know that UAPB has canceled all classes, as well as the Pine Bluff School District. Just based off of the last time I checked within the last half hour with the Entergy power outages, it still looks to be about 54 customers are affected by this storm. It continues to come down, but what's interesting here is that it's actually just rain now, but it is adding more and more precipitation clearly, obviously, onto the ground. So it is becoming slick, but what we're looking at and driving on is a lot of slush and a lot of ice. But what's coming down from the skies now is just rain. So again, it's still going to continue freezing over, but if you don't have to be out there, don't go out there. You know, since this morning, we've been doing this coverage since 4:30, and I know when we got out here in Pine Bluff that all the cars were iced over, so you needed about a good 20-30 minutes to scrape your car, make sure that you get everything cleaned up. You can see here in the distance that some of these trees and shrubs and just the fields are getting weighed down with all this ice. So a lot of slick conditions and a lot of slick roads. I hear not too many people traveling on Highway 530. I want to say maybe a car or two whizzing by, you know, not whizzing, I should say, but maybe going about 30, 35 miles an hour. One or two cars every about 10, 15 minutes here on the side of Highway 530, again, south of I-530 in Jefferson County. And we're going to continue to follow some crews out here and give you road conditions in just a little bit, but for now I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Great work out there from Maureen Glisovic and our photographer Larry Potter as they are driving around Jefferson County, giving you an idea of what the roadways are like there. And we do want to mention that iDrive Arkansas is a great resource for you. Also, we're keeping you updated on KATV.com, where we are live streaming should you lose power. Also on our Facebook page and at KATV News on Twitter. So we'd love to talk with you and see your pictures, of course, as you are waking up and letting us know what it looks like in your neighborhood.
Well, from the ground to the sky we go now. Shane Carter from Clinton National Airport is joining us on the phone. And Shane, we know that when bad weather comes through, specifically winter weather, it can be taxing on the airport crew as well, making sure that flights get off and get to their destinations. What can you tell us right now about the cancellations at Clinton National?
Over the past 15 minutes, we've seen additional cancellations for the day. We have gone now up to right around 35 for today, and that's not only the morning, but now the airlines are looking at the middle part of the day and into the early afternoon and are canceling more flights. So if you do have travel plans for today, if you do have a confirmed ticket, please check your air carrier's website for the latest information before you come to the airport.
We know that conditions are ever changing and will throughout the day and into the evening. As you're looking ahead, what do you guys do to prepare and try to prevent more accumulation at the airport into tomorrow morning?
Sure. Well, our crews began last night, in fact, pre-treating our runway, our main runway and our taxiways before the storm ever began. And then throughout the overnight period, we had two different crews that were alternating, being out on the runway and the taxiway surfaces. And we have a fleet of equipment similar to what the highway department would use. We have plows and we also have blowers and sweepers that we've been continually running up and down through those surfaces to keep things just as clear as we can. American Airlines presently is trying to depart two flights out of Little Rock. So as we go on through the day, we may continue to see some activity on and off as far as your air carriers go. But again, please be mindful of the changes in their schedules through their websites.
And Shane, we also understand that one air carrier has canceled all flights for today, both leaving and entering Clinton National.
And we were told, a little earlier, and I'd passed along to you guys, that Southwest Airlines had canceled all of their flights. And I do have a clarification there. They have canceled all of their departing flights. They're looking now at their schedule for later in the day, a couple of arriving flights for later today, one from Las Vegas that will come in this evening, and also their last Dallas flight for the day. They're thinking that those possibly can come in later today. But as far as departures on Southwest, those have officially been canceled for today.
Shane Carter with Clinton National Airport. Thanks so much for your time. And again, the advice from Shane this morning, make sure you contact your air carrier before heading to the airport because things are ever changing. And don't just assume that it is canceled because there are a couple that are trying to take off from the airport this morning.
Yeah, and he mentioned that cancellations continue to rack up. When we started this morning, there were 12 flights canceled before noon, then went to 14, then 15, and right now 17 before the noon hour alone. That doesn't include, of course, the 22 total that were announced earlier today. But once again, Clinton National or ClintonAirport.com, a great resource if you have to fly in or out today. All right, coming up after this break, it looks like the meteorologists here in studio are gearing up to go outside. Yes, into the elements as they give you an update and a look at your forecast for today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Daybreak's extended coverage of the winter storm moving through the state after this.
Our way out here. Meteorologists don't just stay in the weather center, Barry.
No, you got to get out and take surface observations at
That's right.
some point. But we do have quite a bit of sleet in the street here.
Yeah.
And let's go out here. There's no traffic.
He wants me on out in the traffic and sleet. But let's do a little observation.
Where people have run along here.
Yeah.
How deep are we looking out here?
I mean, let's see. At least a couple of inches.
I think it's right at 2 inches.
I think so. And Brian Emfinger was talking about these ruts and how when you're trying to get in or out of those ruts, you can kind of lose control a little bit.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be those. Right now, it's kind of pliable, but it tends to, if it melts just a little bit, then it freezes, it gets harder, and then those ruts get really quite to be something. Let's take a look at what's going on. I think we've got radar perhaps up first. Let's take a look at what's happening there. And our 5 live Doppler radars will show the precipitation as it moves off to the east. Now the back edge of it is not that far away, but it's moving down into central and eastern Arkansas. Snow is up to the north, and rain is in southern Arkansas. So this is not. Okay, there's what I was going to show. There, right there. Forecast, clouds, and radar. That's what I want to show hour by hour. At 10:30, you can see the back edge coming this way. At noon, it begins to move out and really lessen. And by 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, we might even see a peak or two of sunshine. That's the best case scenario there. That would be great, and we could get rid of this, and then we can start doing some work, or the highway crews can start doing some work on the roadways there. But there you see through the central Arkansas area, we've still got several hours, several bursts of this sleet that are going to have to go through before we get to that back edge, which again is just off to the east. Hour by hour, well, you can see that our model shows that up to noontime is when we'll see this, and then we'll see perhaps maybe a peak of sun, at least an end of the precipitation in this forecast. And that's the good news out of the forecast anyway.
Exactly. It's good to see that back edge, at least the back edge of the main precipitation moving through western Arkansas right now, which means there is an end in sight. There may be, like you said, a few more smaller rounds later on and maybe a change to snow. I think the kids are going to try to sled on this today.
This is going to be good.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll bet the Brant kids are out there, and if not already, they're going to be out
soon. They will be soon.
Yeah.
All right. That's how it looks out here. We will head back inside to Chris and Allison as we continue our team coverage.
Thanks, Melinda and Barry out there covering things. We love seeing you guys out there. And we have crews really all over the state continuing to keep you updated on what it may be like in your area as people are waking up. We know a lot of people got to sleep in today, so maybe you're just now tuning in. So we're staying with you until 10 o'clock this morning to keep you updated on the winter weather. And we would love to see some of those sledding pictures once your kids get outside into all of this. So send those to us here at KATV. You can tweet us at KATV. Barry or KATV Melinda, and they'll get them on the air for you. We're headed off to a break. When we come back, we'll have more extended coverage of the winter weather. Stay with us.
That's right. We're going to send it over to our Channel 7 Weather Center with meteorologists Barry Brandt and Melinda Maya, who have just gotten back inside from the cold weather out. We love seeing when you guys are out in the elements, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's all about,
yes.
right? Yeah. Speaking of the elements, Barry's been showing us a lot of pictures, showed us one of Maureen out there fighting the wind in her umbrella. She's on the phone for you, by the way. She needs to speak to you about
Barry,
that.
line one, it's Maureen.
Exactly. But one of the good things that we're seeing is sort of the back edge of at least the main area of precipitation moving through western Arkansas right now. If we go to our 5 Live Dopplers, I can show you that here on Max 1. Now, there will be more small rounds that wrap around the system and come back, and in fact, we're seeing that around the Fort Smith area down to about Mena. But you can see that we're starting to see some clearing even as close as Conway County and White County. The Clinton area seeing a bit of a break there. There could be some breaks, and then there could be some minor precipitation that moves back through later on today. Now, the winter weather, winter storm warning continues for us until 6 o'clock this evening. So that's mainly because of the impact on the roadways. And we just heard Randy Ort talk about they really need to make a lot of headway this morning and this afternoon getting this scraped off, because whatever is left on the roadways will refreeze tonight into tomorrow morning if it ever melts at all. So secondary roads are still going to be quite a problem, I think, tomorrow morning. So we'll have to keep that in mind. We would love to show you our weather cams, but so many of them have drops on them, Barry, that it's kind of hard to see. But I think you can see through there at the bridges here around downtown and how iced over those still are. Those are areas for sure that you need to take a lot of precaution, those elevated surfaces. Basically a line from about Mena to Pine Bluff to Memphis, and all areas north of there is where we're really seeing the traffic problems. 28 degrees, feels like 19 though, with that winter mix still coming down, and temperatures just about everybody below freezing except for Texarkana now at 33 degrees.
And as I said, my kids are out sledding.
Are they out
and
already?
The report is it sleds great.
Okay, good.
So that's good news. There's applause and a great rejoicing just went up in central Arkansas. But the roadways are another story. You don't want to sled around in your car.
Probably not good for snowmen or snowballs, fights.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
But good for sledding, I think. All right, let's get back over to Chris and Allison.
All right, good. Good for the safe stuff, right? Traveling fast down hills on trash cans and really rickety sleds. That's perfect.
Yeah, we want to see some of those pictures of your kiddos out there enjoying this snow day, although a lot of those kids already had the day off because of the holiday, Washington's birthday, and it is Daisy Gatson Bates Day here in Arkansas. So a lot of state offices closed as well, and we are getting more closures as the morning progresses. Clinton Center is closed today now for business. The House and Senate will not convene today. It's probably a good idea to assume that a lot of places are going to be closed, so you want to check before you go anywhere out today. And hopefully you get the day off and you get to stay inside with some hot chocolate or coffee and snuggled up on the couch watching TV. Unfortunately, our Jordan Bonke is not doing that right now. He's out on the interstate, has been since about 4 this morning. Are you frozen yet, Jordan?
I am still, you know what, I warm up in the car every once in a while. I'm receiving a lot of flack for that sausage McMuffin comment from Maureen Glisovic and Matt Mershon just a little bit earlier today. But some of the effects that we've actually been really seeing are that when you are driving on these roads, and again, we've said it so many times before, you do not need to be driving on these roads, but some of those people have very crucial jobs and they need to be out there. You can't really see the lanes. There's no white strip dividing the lanes because the lanes are just all covered with white snow. You can kind of see over my shoulder here, just this red truck over here that's passing by. You can see that they're driving underneath 20 miles an hour, and if they're on the bridge, underneath 40 miles an hour. They're leaving 3 car lengths in front of them. As you guys reported a little bit earlier, you spoke with Shane Carter over at the airport. 22 flight cancellations. We'll see, maybe that number will grow as the day goes on. You also reported that here in Pulaski County, just down the street, this is East Capitol behind me. You drive all the way down this white snow street, you're going to see that big Capitol, probably a little bit whiter than it normally is today. The House and the Senate, the legislative session will not happen today. All those doors will be locked up and closed. Kids First, LRSD, Pulaski County Special School District, and the North Little Rock schools all closed today. Also, the Academy at Riverdale, over in the Riverdale area off Cantrell, experiencing a lot of power outages, 47 power outages from Entergy. Now, some things to keep in mind. I'm sure it's going to be hard throughout the day to think to yourself, I just have to get out. Maybe you want to sled, maybe you want to drive to a friend's house. Please think about that before you get behind a car. But if you absolutely have to get out for some reason, some quick advice here from the AAA. Remember that the bridges, and this is something that I was able to see earlier, there is some big time slush on the bridge. Also, like I said earlier, it's really hard to decipher on these white streets, the lanes. So remember to stay in what you believe is your lane. Keep 3 car lengths in front of you. And also, I think the most important part is to just drive slow. I don't think I can say it enough this morning, and I'll be saying it until 10 a.m. That's all for now here in Little Rock, right off East Capitol. We'll send it back to you guys.
Jordan Baki reporting live for us this morning. We got our sausage biscuits this morning, too. So I saw a lot of closures. McDonald's apparently is open this morning, and we're grateful for that because it's been a long morning for all of us here at Channel 7. We're keeping you updated, though. Want to stay with you until 10 o'clock this morning because we know a lot of people are waking up throughout the morning and looking to find out what the roads are like in their area.
I do want to let everyone know that we're enjoying these sausage biscuits in studio while some of our other reporters are out working so hard and diligently this morning. Maybe without food right now. One of those is Channel 7's Matt Mershon, and we probably shouldn't have even mentioned that we have a sausage biscuit
rude,
right now.
Right?
Look at Matt. He is not exactly liking that fact. But Matt, I'm sure there's a restaurant just walking distance from you, right? Somewhere down the road where you can grab a bite to eat.
You know, it's someone watching here in Conway this morning needs to bring us some sausage McMuffins or something, because we're trying to help y'all out here, tell you to get off the road, to be out here for you, right? So I mean, but although, honestly, you probably shouldn't come out here because the roads are still pretty bad out here in Conway. We're at I-40 and Skyline Drive, and we switched up our shot really quickly. I want to show you behind me here. This is the on-ramp going on to 40 West up toward Fort Smith. And it's pretty snow covered, not snow, but sleet rather. And you can see sort of those tire tracks going up the ramp. Of course, people have been making their way onto I-40 this morning. And as you've seen throughout the morning on iDriveArkansas.com, those roadways are pretty covered up with that sleet. And of course, with that ice, you know, a lot of it has been melting. You know, the highway department has been getting their salt trucks out to try to melt off some of this stuff on the roadways, but apparently you can see on that on-ramp that it's only doing so much, and frankly, because a lot of people are not out on the roads this morning, we are dealing with the fact that a lot of the snow and sleet and water and ice is not getting displaced. It's staying on the roads until a plow or something comes through here to try and get it all out of the way. But as we said, that slush that we're seeing out here, it is starting to turn into ice, and that salt that the highway department's putting down, having a little difficulty, as Randy Ort mentioned earlier this morning, once it gets into the low 20s, starts to have a little bit of a difficulty getting that salt to work and melt this ice. And as we go into the overnight hours, I know we're only at I don't even know what time it is. We've been out here since 4:30 this morning. But as we continue on throughout the day, it's probably going to get colder, as we've been mentioning, and even over into the overnight hours. So, of course, people playing it safe here. The City of Colleges, as we mentioned, not the City of Colleges today. Central Baptist, University of Central Arkansas, and Hendricks all closed today here in Conway. Smart move. It is rough going out here, but those that are on the roads, doing it safely. We haven't heard of any accidents. As we mentioned, we talked to Conway Police a little while ago and really haven't heard much of anything, but they are out here in force. We've seen several police officers, even just saw a state trooper roll by a little while ago. They're out to help whoever is on the road just in case some bad things happen. And of course, we've heard down for a little further south on I-40, in the Mayflower area. Jackknife semi, I don't know if that's been cleared just yet, but those are some of the things that we're dealing with this morning. Some minor, but if you know how to take care of these roads, I mean, although there is ice, and that's not good for anyone, but we do have that sleet on the road right now, and that is giving us some traction, and it's becoming a lot easier for some of these cars that are on the road to drive, but you shouldn't. As we've been saying over and over and over again, I know it's like a broken record here. Stay off the road, folks, because it's nasty out here. And luckily, we're not getting pelted anymore with this sleet that's coming down. It looks sort of like a flurry going on here. We'll send it back to you in Little Rock.
Matt Mershon reporting live in Faulkner County. It is 8:09, Matt. A couple more hours left to go there in Faulkner County. Yeah, as he mentioned, there have been some accidents out there, but the good news is most people are staying off the roadways, and that's why we're here to let you know what it looks like out there if you do have to get out a little bit later, because we know there are some people that will.
And we know a couple people that are out right now, but out looking after you and looking after the roadways. And we're heading down to Jefferson County. Channel 7's Maureen Glisovic is watching those conditions closely from behind what looks to be a service truck, or at least a plow right now. Is that what that is, Maureen?
That is exactly what it is. They have the highway department plows here that we've been behind. And let me just say, you guys keep mentioning the breakfast sandwiches. Next live shot might be at a McDonald's drive-through, but all kidding aside, you know, we've got crews out here that are cleaning up. You can see there's some snow being kicked off to the side. There's a few brave souls that are actually driving out here. Surely there are still some people that need to get to work or need to get to where they're going. But if you don't have to travel, we've been saying this all morning since 4:30, don't come out here. I mean, it's still slick. There's a lot of sleet, ice, snow here covering. We're on I-530 here in Jefferson County in Pine Bluff. Just a few miles back, we passed up the Princeton Pike exit just to give you a location here. But yeah, crews are still cleaning. I know that UAPB is closed. Pine Bluff School District has closed. Many offices have closed. You know, today is a holiday as well, so that's kind of nice for the kids who weren't going to be going to school no matter what the weather was going to be like. But you could tell some of the trees here, if you look into the distance, that they are being weighed down by quite a bit of ice here, so it's gotten pretty thick. But you know, we're driving about 20 miles an hour here with our hazards on. There's one of those brave souls I was talking about here driving around. And up ahead of this truck, actually, before you guys came to us, there was an energy crew that was driving past. I know this morning when I was by the Pines Mall parking lot, there were 2-3 dozen trucks out there, all from Alabama and Texas, out here to help and support when needed. Last time I checked here, within the last 10-15 minutes, Entergy was reporting 54 customers affected in Jefferson County. Again, that's 54 customers affected. So we're going to continue driving here, giving you the latest on road conditions. I've got my photographer here, Larry Potter, who's been driving, so I can hold the camera and show you guys what you're working with here. But again, great place to look for driving conditions is the iDrive Arkansas. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and send it back to you guys and stay warm and continue to give you updates as soon as they become available.
All right, Maureen Glisovic out live in Jefferson County. That's the way to do it, to get right behind one of those plow trucks, and then you have a clean surface to drive along. So, yeah, y'all be careful out there. Thanks for those reports. Channel 7 photographer Brian Emfinger is out live this morning. He's also driving around. He's by himself thanks to live view technology and a GoPro camera strapped to the dashboard. He's able to give us a great look at where he is as well. Brian, can you tell us where you are exactly?
I am in Little Rock on East 6th Street behind a City of Little Rock plow and sand truck.
There you go. Another great way to do it if you have to do some driving around. Looks like they're going really slow, though. This is one of those secondary roads.
Yes, I thought I would get off the interstates. All the interstates are obviously covered in ice and getting pretty slushy. The secondary roads here in Little Rock are, aren't as well traveled. So it's still mostly a sleet base, so you can still kind of get around. If you take it easy, take it slow. They're putting down sand, but until it gets a little warmer, it's not going to do a whole lot. I've been on several secondary roads that had already been sanded previously, and it really wasn't doing a lot yet. The temperature's still too cold, and not enough traffic on it yet to do much on the secondary roads.
Brian, you just referenced the main roads. Looking at the iDrive Arkansas map earlier, some of the main interstates were reported as having slush. Now solid sheets of ice is what is being reported by iDrive Arkansas. Have you noticed the conditions worsening on the roadways, whether it be the main roads or the secondary roads?
I have not seen any black ice, any solid ice. It's always been either sleet or a sleet and slush mix. Obviously, you know, if it did compress into solid ice, that would obviously be a lot worse. I have not. There have been a few places where, like under overpasses, where the sleet didn't really get to hit on top of it, but water was able to get onto it. So if you're going and you go under an overpass and you see that there's just pavement there, I have noticed that some of those places have been covered in black ice, and it is very slick there. Hopefully that will not spread to all the rest of the roads.
All right, Brian Imfinger out live for us this morning. Stay safe out there, Brian. We'll check back in with you in just a bit. We want to talk a little bit about some power outages. Those numbers increasing as the morning goes along as well. And so it started out about 5,500 early this morning. That's gone up to over 10,000 at this point. Also, that's with Entergy. We want to mention First Electric Cooperatives because we know some of you are under that organization, and they are reporting several as well.
Yeah, roughly 178 right now, mostly in Jefferson County for First Electric. That number stayed pretty consistent throughout the morning. The inconsistent number, and unfortunately the one that has continued to rise, has been Entergy Arkansas, which serves roughly 700,000 customers in 63 of the 75 counties around the state. And that is now up to 12,406. That has risen roughly at least 1,000 customers every half hour this morning. And as it continues to fall, that number is only going to increase.
We spoke with spokesperson Julie Munsell with Entergy Arkansas a little earlier in the morning. And we'll check back in with her a little bit later, but she says they do have crews on the ready and working already to restore those outages that happened first thing this morning. She said it could take several hours, though, for that power to be restored, so you'll have to be patient. If your power does go out, you'll want to call Entergy at 1-800-9-OUTAGE. That's 1-800-9-OUTAGE. They still need the customers to call and let them know where these particular outages are. In the meantime, our suggestion is that you charge up those phones and those laptop computers so you can stay up to date on the weather. And we do that on KATV.com, where we are live streaming, also on our Twitter page and our Facebook page as well.
And some of those areas you were just mentioning, Clark County's seen a big increase this morning, over 2,200 in Clark County, but the biggest one, and has remained this way since the early morning hours, in western Arkansas, Montgomery County, almost 5,000 Entergy customers there without power. But as we mentioned, Julie Munsell did say they are working diligently, and they have other crews that have come in from other states to also help out with this, because they knew ahead of time that this could be bad.
Yeah, some preparation certainly went into this one for sure. Well, coming up next, we have Barry and Melinda both in to give us an idea of when you can expect the weather to make its way out of here. Stick around. Continued coverage of the winter weather continues right after this.
Continuing to get pictures in here in our weather center, even some video now. And by the way, you can shoot video and send that to us via Twitter.
Absolutely.
With our KATV News Twitter handle, and we might just show it on the air.
we might just. Let's give you some ways that you can stay in touch with us on our Twitter feed. You can get a lot of information because we're tweeting out almost everything that comes in. Reports of sleet piling up, the pictures, obviously, one of the great things. At KATV Barry, at KATV Melinda. Todd is at home at KATV_weather, and he has over 40,000 followers on Twitter. And so, you know, you're going to get the benefit of all of that information if you sign up for Twitter, if you've never done it, and then follow us on that. Video, yeah, there's a little bit coming in, and this is coming in from Sharp County earlier. The snow fell up there. I don't think we've had any snow here at all.
Yeah, not that I've seen any pictures or video of in central Arkansas. Not to say we won't. Possibly at the tail end of this, there might be a little bit of pretty snow that'll be falling, but it's falling on top of the ice if it does that, Barry.
That's right. All right, let's go a little bit in advance. We're at 8:20 now. This is 9:30, the projection. Still sleet through here, freezing rain, Hot Springs, Pine Bluff, rain south, snow north, and then I'll take you into the 10:30 hour. Begins to move into the eastern half of the state. By noon, still got some rain in South Arkansas, and I think we could see a little light snow here. but we might even see a break in the clouds later this afternoon. That'd be great. Any sunshine would be beneficial. I just don't think we're going to see a whole lot of that.
That would be very beneficial to help get some of this melted away. But again, yeah, certainly we could see it refreeze tonight, whatever is left on the roadways, and we think the secondary roads will be the big problem tonight into tomorrow morning if you're making plans for that. All right, let's go back to radar and check it out, because we do have from western Arkansas a little bit of, well, clearing at times of precipitation, but then there are some more areas, cross sections of western Arkansas as well, where I think we'll see some snow and possibly sleet continue. Here's another look at it, zooming right into the metro, and definitely a little bit of a trend from sleet to some more freezing rainfall, indicated by some of those pink colors. So what we've mainly seen outside here downtown has been mainly sleet, though, which is giving you a little bit of traction on the roadways, but the more traffic that goes over that ice will pack it down, and it will become slicker later on. Winter weather storm warning for all of Arkansas almost until 6 p.m. tonight, indicating we will see the impacts on the roadways through this evening. South Arkansas, a winter weather advisory still in effect for you. Have not heard of just a lot of traffic problems other than the 18-wheelers on some of the interstate thoroughfares. That's been the biggest problem with some of those jackknifed big rigs. Taking a look at temperatures and what they're going to do, we just stay below freezing all the way through noontime. 30 degrees at noontime today, and then as we go into the afternoon, just getting up to 32, and like Barry mentioned, maybe just a brief period of some sunshine. We'll take what we can get. It looks like the clouds will return tonight as we go back down below freezing. And here's a live look with our Middleton Skycam this morning, looking down on the 630 corridor. It looks like most everybody stayed home, and I think that's the reason we're not hearing of more traffic accidents today. So that is good news. 27 degrees, feels like 17 though. If you are getting ready to go out with the kids, we know they are getting ready to go out and try some sledding on some of this ice. Definitely bundle up. It is very cold, and the wind as well is making it feel even colder. Single digits in northern Arkansas. 9 is the wind chill up around Batesville, and 6 is our wind chill at Harrison. The wind blowing a little bit more strongly across sections of eastern Arkansas than the west. Again, another look into the future with Futurecast showing shortly by noontime, we're really going to see a decrease, it looks like. Now, there could be some more wraparound moisture, but by 2 o'clock this afternoon, it is mainly southeastern Arkansas and east central, maybe with a little bit of sleet hanging over. The further south and east you are, the longer this is going to stick around for you. A bit of a break. And then tomorrow night, that little disturbance right there, we don't think it will amount to much, but you can see there we've got all colors in with that northern Arkansas system that could be here late tonight, early tomorrow. Could add just a little bit up for our accumulation amount. So today's high around 32 degrees, freezing rain and sleet. It could end as a little bit of light snow, but again, mainly snow north and mainly rain south. Tonight, 23, cold and breezy tonight as we take a look at those extended forecast. Temperatures 38 tomorrow, but that small disturbance tomorrow. Then look, sunshine Wednesday and Thursday, but very, very cold. Look at Thursday morning, 13 degrees. Temperature, not just wind chills. And then another system looks like it brings us mainly rainfall as we go into Saturday and Sunday. Let's get over to Barry, who has more of our recent pictures.
Yeah, you get a little snow cover or sleet cover on the ground. It makes it easier for those temperatures to get cold. We haven't had that really this year. Great photos coming in. This from White County. Kim Loftus sent this one in of some sleet on the ground there. And how about a look right down the main thoroughfare in Cabot there with the sleet piling up and a few tracks there. And one thing that I do want to notice, this also from White County, if you look closely, just up to the north, there's no ice on the trees. There was no freezing rain in White County. We had freezing rain and then sleet. It's just been sleet up just a little farther north. And the daffodils, I said the other day, they were going to take it on the chin. They did. This is a picture coming in from Glen Rose of the sleet covering there and an old windmill there with some ice hanging off of it. There will be a little more ice accumulation, I think, especially just to the south of the Little Rock area. We've heard some reports that in Pine Bluff, some limbs are coming down out of trees. So it's been primarily freezing rain there. And a lot of it has accumulated more so than on the ground up into the trees, and that could be a real problem. But that's a beautiful shot there, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah, and the daffodils definitely had a rude awakening this morning. Back to radar, I'll zoom in just a little bit just to show you exactly what's happening in your area. We're seeing it definitely decrease across western Arkansas, but not over for anybody, because as you can see here, there are still some more rounds of precipitation moving into western Arkansas, and there that is, mainly snow from Fort Smith up to Clarksville, through Johnson and to Franklin County. So we could see even some snow, I think, as far south as the central Arkansas area later on today, but still it is mainly ice, an icy go of it out there this morning. There's another look at it. South Arkansas, as expected, still mainly rainfall for you folks, which is good news, but I think you too should prepare for power outages, because some of this could freeze on your power lines too. Hearing from the Pine Bluff Street Department that some limbs are starting to come down. We're just adding ice on there, and you know, a quarter of an inch, and you're starting to get power problems. So hearing from Pine Bluff that they're already starting to hear some fallen trees.
I think this could have been worse if it would have lasted longer. Again, it's going to be shutting off, but it still was a very significant storm, and it's not over yet. And it was almost exactly down to the mile where it was forecast to occur. From the snow to the north, to the sleet, all the way down to the Little Rock area, and just south of here, freezing rain, and in South Arkansas, mostly just cold rain. And that just is a testament to not to our forecasting skills so much as the model information that we get now is just so much better than it used to be, and it really can pinpoint exactly what part of the atmosphere is going to have a deep layer of cold air and sleet, or a shallow layer and freezing rain.
And so many models at our disposal now to use, where we can compare them and know which ones handle winter weather a little better than others, so it can really help us pinpoint it better. Glad that worked out, but sorry that it is an icy go of it this morning. Chris and Allison?
All right, I say great model information, but great interpretation by our meteorologists who worked so hard and did a great job of predicting this. We do want to mention those outages are happening and will continue to happen throughout the morning, as Melinda was talking about. And we have, of course, Energy, the big one, and then First Electric Cooperatives. Also, Washita Electric Cooperative is reporting 500 outages. South Central Arkansas Electric Cooperative reporting 2,000 outages. So those numbers continue to climb. If you're watching us, obviously, you have electricity, or you're live streaming us on KATV.com, on your smartphone, on your computer. So that's available should you lose power at some point today.
Always on and always available to you.
It just has to be charged up.
Yes, and that's why it's important to remember that even if you have power right now, make sure your phone or whatever device you use to stay connected is on a charger, because these power outages are increasing. Just because you don't have power out right now doesn't mean it can't happen to you. For example, in the past 30 minutes alone, another 2,000 more Entergy customers without power. So now that's increased 2,000. Another half hour gone by. It's only continuing to go up from here. So just because you don't have power now, or because you do have power, doesn't mean you're out of the woods.
Yeah, and they do have those crews working to restore power in the places that it is already out. Julie Munsell with Entergy Arkansas reporting that it will take several hours, though, so be patient with those guys. Lots of closures today because of the holiday, Washington's birthday, and Daisy Gatson Bates Day here in Arkansas. So a lot of schools were already closed. If they weren't closed, they likely closed because of the weather, and we have those scrolling. A lot of people looking ahead to tomorrow.
Yes.
What will tomorrow bring? We're going to talk to our meteorologist a little bit later about that and see, will this all melt away and be okay for in the morning, or what lies ahead? Could you students get a real snow day? Because this one just doesn't count since you were already out of school, many of you. Anyway, also Clinton Center is closed today. CAP buses are delayed until 10 a.m., but they should start running at 10 a.m. And I say should because earlier this morning they said they'd run at 7:30, and then 7:30 came and said, nope, we're going to need to wait until 10. So hopefully that will happen for any of you that do need to catch a CAP bus today. Clinton National Airport also reporting lots of cancellations and delays, so call your air carrier for that information.
At least 17 just before the noon hour alone. We do know of one flight, an American Airlines flight, that has tried to depart in the past hour, but that is the only one in the AM hour scheduled to be out. And we also know that Southwest, according to Shane Carter from Clinton National, they are canceling all departing flights for Southwest today, but they are looking to get some return flights later in the afternoon. That doesn't mean it's going to happen because they're waiting to see how this plays out. As we've mentioned, this is not over yet. We're still expecting more precipitation to fall in the next several hours.
Lots of closures, but as we mentioned, McDonald's open this morning. We're thankful for that as we continue extra coverage today, keeping you updated on the winter weather conditions out there throughout the state of Arkansas. We're back with more right after this. Welcome back into KATV Channel 7 extended coverage of the winter weather today. If you've been up since 4:30, you're tired of looking at us at this point, but we are trying to keep you updated on the road conditions and the weather conditions. And really, Chris, now a lot of people are looking ahead to tomorrow. We know a lot of schools were already closed, so people are sleeping in. Maybe you are just waking up. You got to sleep in because you knew you were out of school and out of work today because of the holiday. If you are, we've got some great pictures to show you, and it has changed. When we came in at around 2:30 this morning, man, it wasn't that bad at all, and we drove in pretty easily, but things have deteriorated since then. And we took that shot earlier as we went to break, and I don't know, guys, if we have that now that we can look at the winter white really all over the entire city. It looks like a blanket of snow, but it's not snow, it's sleet in most of the areas. That's what we've seen.
Several inches of sleet, and that's a good look right there, looking out towards Arkansas Children's Hospital, and of course that is 30 westbound, so you can kind of see just the overall conditions, the blanket of white sleet and ice that has fallen overnight. So your cars, if you haven't been outside this morning, you'll probably notice a nice thick coat of ice or sleet on your car, so make sure you start it ahead of time if you have to travel anywhere. We hope you don't have to. We hope you can stick right here with us as we now head over to the Weather Center, and we're going to give you an idea with our two meteorologists, Melinda Mayo and Barry Brand, of when it's going to be out, and like we mentioned just a moment ago, guys, when are we going to be able to go back to school and back to work and get normal functions done here in the city?
Do you think kids are really saying, when do we get to go back to school?
No, but parents are.
Yeah, they're saying, please give us another day or two. Yeah, but what I noticed from those weather cam pictures is the lack of traffic out there. I just don't know that you know, it was a holiday. It is a holiday, so I think that has helped. But I think just the forewarning that we had, a lot of people went ahead and had made the decision last night to just stay home.
That's a great decision if you don't have to be out. I think this afternoon, as the precipitation ends, I would imagine traffic will start to pick up some. And it's not like it's impassable on most of the major roadways, but it is dangerous, and it continues to sleet outside. Let's take a look at our 5 live Dopplers. And the heaviest of the precipitation, I think right now, would be here in central Arkansas, maybe into the east central part of the state, sleeting from Little Rock eastward along I-40. Then you get into the area in that lighter shade from Hot Springs back to Pine Bluff. Now, there's a little break coming for Hot Springs. No precipitation that I see in a broad area from Hot Springs over to Mena. And then in South Arkansas, one thing has changed. And our radar began to show this a few minutes ago, and I just checked, and it's 32 degrees and sleeting in El Dorado, or at least some freezing rain mixing in with the rain there. So this is changing over in North Arkansas from Searcy northward to Batesville and Newark and Jacksonport, Newport. There is the snowfall area, and that's in northeast Arkansas too. Then you look back to the west just a touch, and there's another little light area of snow. And Melinda, I think that's what we're going to see later on. This back edge over here from Fort Smith down to Mena, I think all of us that haven't maybe seen some snow a little farther south than the snow area has been, I think we'll see a few flakes of snow, and that's in that time frame from maybe 10:30 to 11, maybe up to noontime.
I think the kids would be excited maybe to see some snow rather than sleet on the back edge of this, and hopefully it doesn't cause more travel problems when it does come through. Let's check out our winter weather map, and it is all of north, all of central Arkansas, and even down to about Pike County under that winter storm warning until 6 p.m. tonight. But as we just saw, even further south of there, El Dorado is not in a winter weather watch or warning area, but we are seeing some of the rain change over to sleet there as temperatures continue to get cooler, both at the surface and in the upper levels. But those purple shaded counties across most of South Arkansas in a winter weather advisory. Southeast Arkansas looks like you will hang on to this the longest, possibly with some rain or freezing rain or sleet in your part of the state through even this evening. For most of us, though, it looks like this rapidly begins to decrease this afternoon. Well, what are temperatures going to do today? Not a whole lot. They're going to slowly increase from the upper 20s to about 30 degrees by noontime. That is still certainly cold enough to see sleet, freezing rain, all forms of precipitation that we're seeing now. 31 by 3 o'clock, and possibly late afternoon, maybe just a little bit of a mostly cloudy or partly sunny sky where we could see just a little bit of sunshine. Don't count on it, though. The clouds will come back, and I think this evening we'll be dealing with mostly cloudy skies. There's that shot we've been showing you so much that just shows everything coated in white, and looking at how little traffic there is on the roadways, that is great news. Yeah, Barry's going to switch us around, I think, to some other shots here so that we can give you a little tour.
Yeah, that's a Big Rock interchange there, but there's so much ice on the camera. But even the areas that you can see, I don't see any traffic flowing through there. Let's head down. I would imagine Hot Springs is going to have ice all over the camera. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a hard shot to
It's
see.
up at a higher elevation.
Right. This is the River Market, and we have the sleet that is piled up down here. And then the River Bridge is slow going, but passable,
yeah,
it appears.
Absolutely. Take your time and leave plenty of space between you and the other guy. It may not be that you can't drive on it, maybe the other guy can't.
Right.
and you don't want to get too close to him.
Because you're a better driver than that other guy.
Always, always. That's just a rule. 27 degrees right now, feels like 17. I know a lot of the kids are saying, can we go out and play in it? Can we go out? Well, just be sure they are bundled up, hats, scarves, mittens, everything they need to get out there, because it is quite cold, and there's still quite a bit of wind as well. Look at these wind chills in northern Arkansas, single digits. Feels like 6 at Harrison, 9 at Mountain Home, 9 at Jonesboro, 11 at Searcy, and 17 degrees wind chill. Looks like the wind's a little bit stronger across north and eastern Arkansas than the western half. Here's our futurecast model, and as we've been saying, definitely we're seeing it decrease across western Arkansas, but there could still be a couple more little rounds of winter weather there as well, wrapping through. Here we are at noontime today. It is mainly across the southeastern half, and as we go on up to 2 o'clock, increasingly for south and southeastern Arkansas, but still some sleet or freezing rain mixing in areas like Stuttgart and over towards Helena, West Helena, and then late this afternoon it is just about gone, other than some rainfall in South Arkansas. Clearing skies tonight. Tomorrow, though, some clouds return, and there's that little round that we haven't been paying a lot of attention to. We don't think it'll be anything like this round of winter weather, but there could be perhaps another mixed bag of precipitation late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Then, steady as she goes, sunshine returns for Thursday and Friday before some rainfall returns for the end of the week. 32 degrees for a high today, 23 tonight, so anything left on the roadways refreezes tonight for sure. It's Wednesday and Thursday that we get the sunshine, but very cold temperatures. Look at that Thursday morning, 13 actual temperatures, and there could be even colder wind chills than that.
And starting out on Friday, there could be some mixed precipitation before it warms up above freezing and we go to more of a rain type deal. One of the people that we follow on Twitter, Paul Wilkerson, he's a meteorologist out at the Air Force Base, and he said, I'll say it now, this is speculation, this is not set in stone, but he said in Central and North Arkansas, I think kids will be out tomorrow of school, only because the secondary roads, kids, you didn't hear that, by the way, only because the secondary roads are going to have so much sleet on them. I mean, it piled up. I really think the main thoroughfares are going to be pretty passable. I would say, opinion-wise, I would say that's certainly a possibility.
I think so.
But we'll keep you updated on that.
If the buses can't get to all the routes, and they'll probably have to close schools. But we'll leave that for the superintendents to decide.
Not set in stone, kids. Homework? Homework, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, they will be, what is it?
It sounds like
Kids
cheering all over the city.
Yeah,
No,
they're
did you hear
excited.
that? Barry Melinda said we were out.
Yeah, you'll have to wait for the official word, but you'll want to tune in bright and early tomorrow morning, as we will continue to keep our viewers updated on that. And those administrators, they do have a tough job. It's all about safety really first for them, but also managing should they go to school, because we know a lot of times they have to make that up at the end of the year if they take a snow day during the middle of the year. So those administrators will be out and about tomorrow morning and watching the meteorologists, watching the conditions out there before they make the official designation of whether or not the school is closed.
Yeah, and Paul made a great point. So did Barry and Melinda. It's the secondary roads.
Right.
You know, we're seeing right now the snow plows and the salt and the sand trucks. They're all on the main interstates, which is great because that's where the most people travel. But where do you come from? Your home. You probably don't live off an interstate or a major highway. Most people don't, and that's why they're going to make sure that all those secondary roads are clear before they send the school buses out. You know, ABC News has done recent studies and recent reports about an increase in school bus accidents across the country, and certainly administrators do not want to risk that with any type of wintry conditions that could maybe even, pose some type of a threat just getting the kids to school tomorrow.
You know, you mentioned those road crews that have been out and prepared for this since a couple of days ago, actually. And so they've been out all over the state. The Arkansas Highway Transportation Department providing most of those snow plows and the salt sand trucks. But also the city of Little Rock has 16 that will be moving about the city throughout the day to try to keep some of those secondary roadways cleared off. We'll continue to watch that and watch those roads for you as we have Jordan Bakke out on Interstate 30 in Little Rock. He's been out there all morning long, and we don't see a car behind you at all, so the message is apparently getting across. Most people staying in today.
I think that message is getting across. You guys have quite the powerful impact on the public. If you could see behind me, not a lot of folks on the highway at all. In fact, I saw something a little bit earlier that I thought was a little bit funny. I don't know if this is funny to many people, but it was an Arkansas State Police officer that looked like he was just leading a convoy of just very, very slow cars behind him. You know, earlier I said that people were probably driving maybe 35, maybe under 40 miles an hour on the river bridge. It looks like they're driving even slower now. Now that it's another thing to mention is they really can't see the lanes because they're all white. There's no white strips to divide them. It's just completely covered in snow. Some other things to mention, or if you remember at 5, 6 o'clock this morning, if you were with us, we saw that sleet just coming down. I was complaining about how bad it stings your face. You heard Matt Mershon talking almost about the same thing, about how painful it was. We saw snow on the lens. Well, things are starting to slow up right now. It's not nearly as bad outside. So if you're thinking about bringing your kids out, that may be a selling point for them. So I'm on their side here. Some other things that we've been able to report throughout the day, almost 12,000 power outages throughout the state. Only 47 of them are here in Pulaski County, and a lot of those folks are experiencing them off Cantrell in the Riverdale area. Now, that's including the Academy at Riverdale. All LRSD schools closed. Pulaski County Special School District closed. North Little Rock Public Schools. Find something to do warm inside because you have the day off. Lucky them, and maybe we'll see, and you make sure you watch Channel 7 and also log on to KATV.com to see if that is the case for tomorrow. And as for driving, like you guys said, it appears people are listening. I mean, you can see on the highway right now how slowly people are driving and the small amount of people that are on the roads. So actually, and like we said earlier, that snow is so thick you really can't make out the highway. But if you really do need to get out on the highway, make sure you leave 3 or 4 car lengths in front of you. That's all that I've got for you right now. I'll send it back to you guys.
Jordan Bakke reporting live. Great job out there. You and our photographer, Marcus McDonald, out there as well all morning long. Thanks for that. It sure does look pretty to see. Not pretty to drive on, but pretty to look out there. It's completely white. And it would be, as far as kids are concerned, even prettier if tomorrow was a day off officially because of the winter weather. As we mentioned, though, stay tuned. That is not set in stone quite yet. Hey, now let's head down to Jefferson County, Pine Bluff. Today, Maureen Glisovic is out of the car again and joins us now with an update on the conditions there. Hey, Maureen.
Hey guys, had to bust the hat out. The umbrella's officially broken and over with. I'm here off of Highway 270 going into Pine Bluff. It's continuing to come down out here. Not too many cars out on the roadway, but definitely you could see from behind me here that everything's pretty much slick. It's sleet, it's slush, it's ice. It's a combination, a little bit of everything. We've been in Pine Bluff here since 4:15 this morning, and it started out where the ground was still pretty warm, and it continued to stay like that where it was just water precipitation on the ground, but it quickly within like a 30-minute, 40-minute window started turning into slush and started hardening on the ground. Now, if you haven't paid attention since this morning's coverage, we have a lot of schools that are closed. Pine Bluff School District has reported closing school today, as well as UAPB. Again, not too many people out on the roadway. We've been looking at iDrive Arkansas to see driving conditions, and pretty much everything is icy or patches of ice here in Jefferson County. Last I checked, within the last 20 to 30 minutes, Entergy was reporting about 54 customers in Jefferson County affected by this. Now, the Highway Department has plows out there, so they're going up and down I-530 to get that cleared off for you. They also have their mixture of salt and brine that they're throwing onto the roads so that it helps melt some of this ice that's accumulated for overnight into the morning hours. So we're going to continue to give you updates as more becomes available. But for now, just stay off the roads like we've been saying. You know, I know Matt Mershon, I mentioned it sounded like a broken record, but honestly, if you don't have to drive, don't do it. You know, there's a few cars passing by here, you know, every once in a while. If you can see, I mean, they're taking it pretty slow. No one's driving more than about 30, 35 miles an hour. So, again, just stay home if you don't have to go out there. But until then, we'll be out here giving you updates. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Maureen Glisovic live in Jefferson County and Pine Bluff this morning. Thank you, Maureen.
You know, the good news is we haven't heard of any major accidents aside from a jackknifed 18-wheeler on I-40 near Mayflower. Other than that, we're not getting any reports yet of any major accidents. That's good news, probably because most people are staying off the roads, and those that are on the roads are driving fairly slowly this morning. We do want to check in with Matt Mershon, who is in Conway this morning. He's been in Faulkner County all morning long, and we know that it started out okay, then it got really worse for you guys in terms of the sleet that was pelting down on you, and now not a lot of precipitation that we can see through the camera anyway.
No, and you know what? I was looking at radar earlier, and it looked like we were in the clear. It's doing a little sleet now. I mean, that's what it's been all morning. There's been a little pocket here or there, like, oh yeah, we're in the clear. It's baloney. We're not really in the clear. We'll be in the clear, I think, in the next half hour to an hour here in Conway, but it is still just doing a little bit of sleet right now, and of course, that's accumulating on our roadways. But one of the things that I have seen different in the last half hour here is, for the first time going down Skyline Drive here, I saw a plow actually with its plow down, and they are starting to move some of this, not necessarily off the road, but just sort of move it around a little bit. Our photographer, Chad, is going to try to take a little bit of a shot here on Skyline Drive. You can see they've sort of pushed it around to keep it from melting. You know, right now we are sort of in a bit of a lull in this precipitation, and I think the highway department's clearly taking advantage of that point in time right now, just to sort of get a little bit of a head start. As we mentioned, we need that head start going into tonight with all of the slush that's on the roadways, and with our 20s and teen temperatures expected overnight. That's going to start to ice over. And that's another thing we want to start to tell people, you know, as this starts to let up, those of you who clearly, I'm sure, are seeing the ice and sleet outside of your homes this morning, the New Englander in me is telling you, you might want to start to shovel right now, because that is only going to harden up and be very difficult to shovel into the nighttime and into the morning. If you forget to do it today, you're too busy sipping on hot cocoa, watching, I don't know, Channel 7 Daybreak, getting some updates on what's going on out here. But for right now, it is seeming that it is getting to taper off here in Faulkner County. We're liking that. It is unfortunately still cold out here, and we're still waiting on that Egg McMuffin. I know it's a broken record on that one too. But we'll send it back to you guys in
it's
the
on
warm Little Rock studio.
Oh, Matt, it's on its way. We have sent it via pigeon carrier, and it should be there sometime in the next few hours.
Wait, I think I see it. Hold on.
You know, things start to get funny and delirious after hour upon hours of talking about the weather. Matt, thanks so much. Big thanks to Chado as well, who is out there handling the camera for Matt. And we want to report real quickly, we're trying to get this information out as it comes into us, and it's just constantly coming in, but Park Plaza Mall closing today because of the inclement weather. So no shopping, and we're getting more and more closures. Lots of places closed today. So again, just another good day to stay inside and enjoy some TV.
And hopefully have power at the same time. We're going to update you on your power outages here in just a few moments as it continues to grow throughout each half hour this morning. Until then, though, we're going to head back out on the roadways. Channel 7 photographer Brian Emfinger is out driving around Little Rock. And right now, Brian, I understand you're heading down Cantrell Road.
Yes, sir. I had come up west. There was several vehicles unable to make it up some of the hills on Cantrell. I'm behind a plow right now that is plowing off a couple inches of the sleet. But as you can see, as I pass it, as the cop waved me around, it is not able to scrape down to the pavement because it's already been compressed down into ice. So basically, he's just shaving off the loose stuff and basically leaving a pretty slick, just a layer of ice.
Brian, we know that as you travel there, you're just passing University. I can see that. It's pretty hilly around there, but nothing compared to Cantrell Hill, which of course is pretty windy. Are you planning on going down Cantrell here in just a few moments?
Yeah, actually had just came up from that direction a few minutes ago, and there was an SUV that had only made it about halfway, and they were stalled out. They couldn't get up any further. Seemed like the vehicles going downhill were okay, so I'm not too worried. But for sure, whenever you're going up any of the big hills in Little Rock and West Little Rock, if you don't have four-wheel drive, you're going to have a tough time. This obviously vehicle has four-wheel drive. It may look easy for me, but there was an SUV and several cars that just could not make it up some of these hills.
Yeah, that area really tough to drive in these kind of conditions, although it's really fun to be in if you're on a sled. I know a lot of kids go to that area to do some sledding. And you mentioned you're in a four-wheel drive there, also going pretty slowly, and we want to let our viewers know that you are safe there, no camera in hand, that's strapped to your dashboard with a GoPro. So thanks, Brian, for all your work out there, and we'll check back in with you a little bit.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk with Barry and Melinda again, and they're going to give you an idea of what to expect as we look ahead now past the precipitation, maybe a little bit into tomorrow. Could this weather stick around? They'll let you know next.
Another live shot from Brian Imfinger, who's out driving around the roadways, kind of going to the secondary roads to see how those are compared to the interstates. They don't look much different, but I think, yeah, that's Cantrell Hill right there.
Right, he's just about to go down. He's going past Hill Street there, and yeah, he's going slow because that's about a mile-long decline. Then right after that, so we'll. Let's just watch him go down the hill there. I do want to tell you that the precipitation does look like it will start to taper off some. We'll have a little break. We may have a little bit more, though, up until noontime or so. We'll check back in with Brian in just a second.
He mentioned he was watching some of the road scrapers go by, and they were scraping off the loose, sleet on top, but that there was still a layer of ice beneath.
We did. We had a little freezing rain here. Now, you know what helped? We were at 75 degrees 2 days ago. And that kept the pavement warm for a while anyway. And I think it will aid in some sort of, if we can get to the end of this precipitation, it'll aid in melting.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about when that precipitation might come to an end. A quick look at our 5 live Dopplers this morning. And we're kind of seeing that snow line get a little closer to central Arkansas as well. But it is still mainly freezing rain and sleet. We're seeing it become much more widely scattered across the western half of the state. But you can see it looks like some snowflakes getting pretty close to the Conway area. And they're in Russellville right now.
All right. And we'll have a lot more as Good Morning Arkansas starts. We'll be with you for another hour and have a whole lot more.